for the rest of the team, I know Daniel, Brad, and Eric, they're all occupied with the Amazon project. Charlie and Moses, they're at UPS. Abdul is tied up. I just texted both Muhammad and Terry. I'm texting Nick also. So Nick said he's not able to join.
Yeah, he's got to go to the GM today, so he won't make it today.
Oh, that's right. That's right. So it was for both, for this meeting and San Francisco. Okay. All right. Let's get to it then. So, hey, good morning, Mohammed.
Good morning, everyone.
Okay. All right. So today we'll, William, I'm thinking today we do a different flow here, and then we go right into the utilization charts, and then I think there's a lot of noise coming from Gary's side. Gary, if you don't mind switching to mute, and then I'll mute yourself when you want to say something. Thank you. So William, yeah, I'm saying we look at the forecast. I think it's up to date. See where we at, just for the team to get a view where we stand, and then we'll go to the forecast Excel file, look at the activities before we switch on to the Mosaic page.
No, all right, I'll get those brought up.
See, I had of course now it's loading. I had it open. Come on. Okay, perfect. Thanks, William. So for the team, we'll do a quick refresher here. There's a lot of data that's driving this. And then this is the full overview for the entire year. That's the S&SI utilization forecast. And there's, so two folds here. There's the forecast, so from now onward, and then also the looking back in the review mirror, looking at January all the way up to date. So there's color codes here, and William did a nice job just kind of separating together, just that we're synced on the bluish color. So the light blue, that's productivity 1, and that's the direct labor, and these are billable projects. Just a quick refresher. Productivity 2 would be anything billable plus anything we're doing internal or we're charging to any other cost center. Anything else that's outside of those two buckets, that would be the S&SI cost center. That's when we start talking, we are absorbing these hours, or we start talking service trust. That's the accumulation of cost based on expenses and remaining hours that we are absorbing. That's the training, any time that we're not charging to any cost center goes into that bucket. So it's always, that's why we stress on the categorization, especially when we're supporting any other projects. If it is billable, most of the time, and I say most of the time because at times we're awaiting on the system to update and what have you, but mostly it's clear, and that's going to that billable bucket. The gray area is one we're working or supporting something and we're not claiming in the right cost center, and we don't have that in time. We have matured and progressed over the last couple of years, especially this year in specific by taking a proactive approach and asking for these cost centers and getting things in sync for the team to claim and use those cost centers. We realize it's not perfect, but we have progressed and it's working out much better than the past. So with that said, these hours as we plug in ADP, it reflects this this outcome, which is in percentages here. So again, the light blue is productivity 1. If we look at just like the month of January, for example, the very first one, and if you can hover over it, William, it's thank you. So the first one, that's the forecast. That's what we forecast for this current month or for any quarter that we're looking at. So that's what William and I, we work on this in the background, and William is very instrumental in putting all this kind of consolidated data together to give us this format. So that's again our forecast based on our understanding what's going on, what's coming up, and all of that. The very next one is the actual. This is what gets put in ADP, and that's what in the system. So these are the real actual numbers. If you look, these numbers, it's not a coincidence that they match. It's all this effort and work put in trying to forecast based on data and real information, and we're pretty close. We're almost spot on, right? We like it when the actual exceeds and beats the forecast. In this case, actual was 34.8%. The third one there in darker blue, 18%, that's the target, okay? When we say the target in this case, it's what we were given for the rest of the year as a forecast from finance and was approved by management board that we have to reach these targets or beat it. So this model was designed to actually beat these numbers. And we were doing such a great job. I think we're still doing pretty good given all things considered, but we'll get into that in a minute. And we had a great start. And then the optimal targets is basically set the 75%, but we get it. It's we still a startup division within the organization. So we were given these numbers to beat it, and then we were given a service rest that we can claim against. So we're not beaten every time that we don't reach these numbers. So a great start. We had these numbers, and then for productivity 2, we have the forecast of 47. We were at 49.4. Again, it's much better than we even forecasted, and the target was 40. So that rhythm continues for January, February. You see the one in the middle, that's the actual, like for the light blue, 42 for prod 1, 59 for prod 2. We were doing great start. Then in March, things started to change a little bit. We started falling behind the actual. So March, we're like 20 versus 28. We're at 41 for prod 2 versus 52. And then started like, bouncing also for April and May. And these times here, we're talking, this is in the middle of the pandemic. And that's when we were supposed to our initial forecast was much better than this, was more like in sync with how we were looking for January, February, but things changed tremendously, and then we were impacted with it. What we did, we pivoted, we started supporting internal activities. We switched on to supporting sales heavily, and we got onto these initiatives, Reimagine Now, which translated to Reimagine Now. We were even on the front end of that. We still supporting those. So fast forward, right, for the second quarter and then up to date here, we did survive this wave. The numbers, as you see, like if we look at May, we're at 19, so that's like almost 20% versus 32. Productivity 46 versus 53. Okay, it's not far off. We're doing better on prod 2. Not so good on prod 1, but we all know where we stand, right? SBD was a major customer for us. We had 14 sites. We would actually been challenged with capacity, but that was postponed. Similarly with other activities, but we still survived this, and we kept supporting and helping out mainly internal projects, right? June is also pretty close, right? Prod 1, not so good. We target was 42. We're like almost 50% of that. But again, that's all for this reasoning. And then this would have been like the peak times for us, looking at last year. That's where we were heavily engaged in Shirao and other sites with SBD. And same thing goes for July. But that gap started to get closer. We're still a little bit far, but we're getting closer. August, just fast forward to this month, we are forecasting a 41.7 for prod 1. Target is 25. So we looking pretty good there. I think this is very healthy. But then it's month by month, right? But for this particular month, look at the forecast for prod 2. We're at 58.5. Target is 47. So that's going to balance some of these gaps from before. The team is doing a pretty good job keeping up with this. And the reason I'm going through this here as a refresher, just for awareness of the team, and then also make sure that we are balanced out. And once we switch to this granular mode and what's driving this data, I'd like to have a better understanding. I know we don't have the rest of the team, but I know, Chris, you're heavily engaged with a series of these activities. And I want to make sure that we support you around that, and then we kind of pass on or delegate some of that work to the team. And I know we have Gary and Mohammed here. We'll talk about the rest of the team as they're occupied as well. But let's highlight those, and let's use this week and next probably the rest of the month just as an example. So for this week, like maybe William, do you mind walking us through this? And then I would want Chris in particular, as we talk about this, to step in and share, because I know you're occupied with a series of activities, and then we'll see where we can move on some of this workload and balance it out. So let's use that as an example.
All right, sure. So this is the Excel form that I use to generate those
sorry.
graphs. Yes.
My apologies. I've been talking through, and I want to ask the team here. There's a lot of data on the Mosaic page on these charts. Does that make sense? And do you have any questions? Sorry, William, I don't want to jump quickly to that. My bad.
No worries.
Is it clear? I know it's clear as mud, but do you guys have any questions, or does it make sense? Does that give you some awareness and insight where we stand and where we're going?
Bueller?
Maybe yes, no. You guys on mute.
My 2 cents. It was pretty clear. It was a good. I mean, it's very visual. It's pretty simple to keep track of.
Okay, thank you, Alexandro. Chris, Gary, Mohammed, What do you guys think? It's important that we don't bore you and bug you with this every week or every month, but it's important that you guys know where we at and it's a reflection of what we're all doing. So
my take is we want blue to be lower and orange to be higher.
Not so much. Let me close this out so we can get back to. So productivity 1 is all the blue. So I'm just going to refresh because I saved data. We want to be higher than the dark numbers. So the dark numbers are our target, and the middle color is the actual that we put in. So we want that middle number to be higher than the dark number for each one.
Okay.
So I kind of laid them out, prod 1, prod 2, blue and orange. Forecast actual, this is the one we're really concerned with, being higher than our target. Same with this one, the middle color higher than the dark color.
Now, I know Slim said something about it at the start of the explanation of this, but prod 1 equals what? Prod 2 is what? Which one's billable?
So prod 1 is billable hours divided by attendance time. And attendance time is any time that we put in the books, minus PTO, sick time, holidays, all that good stuff.
Gotcha. Okay.
And then prod 2 is anything that's not charged to our cost center. So it's the billable plus anything going out to any other cost center outside of ours.
Okay. And we're not tracking non-direct internal costs on this?
No, I mean anything. So like in June, 50.1% of our time was charged to S&SI. Is how it ends up. Anything not on this chart comes back to S&SI.
Okay. Okay, I got you.
it's a great question, Chris. This KPI here shows the prod 1, prod 2, right? We also know where we at which is the difference, right? The 100% minus the, in this case, prod 2. So if it is 50, then 50% is going directly to S&SI, and that's where we stress out the breakdown of these hours. If it is training, then it's spelled out, and the team is doing a much better job making that granular, right? And bringing that. So we know, for instance, in a given week, there is, let's say, 80 hours for the team for T&E. Well, okay, what is that? That's vision, robotics, or whatever. And then there's, if it is, let's say, 200 hours, it's admin, then it's questionable. And these are the things that we look at, and then we say, well, if we have this many T&Es or this many admins, and then on the other side, we have too many cost center charges and too many internal projects or even external, that means it's not balanced. And that's why we're doing this. We're going to the roots of this, and we're looking, for example, for this week, and that's the next exercise here, is where do we stand in that regard? And how can we, is it something we can leverage internally within S&SI, Alex included, or is it something we need someone else, right? Or can we support others? It's that's the main idea, and that's the rhythm we've been operating under. But these are all great questions. We have some slides. I'll dig them up and probably add them somewhere here, William, for the team, because believe me, the first round of these, or few rounds, it took us a good while to understand the math behind all this, and it's pretty straightforward once you look at it. But we'll add those slides just to be as a reference. How are these numbers calculated? And then William, will have our own internal view of the absorbed numbers. We tracking it, but we're not showing it in this format right now. We don't want to overwhelm this chart. It's already too much content in it.
All right. But you are tracking the breakdown for, all the internal numbers, internal hours. If they're going to
Yes.
admin or if they're going to training or whatnot. You're tracking all that
Yeah.
somewhere.
Yeah, we've got those.
Okay.
Yeah. There's a report that goes out on a monthly basis. It's a productivity report. Maybe, yeah, if you have it handy, let's show the team. And this is something that finance team do for all billable and for all direct labor divisions. And ours is, as you see there, the one highlighted in column L. William already have it, and that's the rest of the team. And it shows individually on the number of hours. It shows the percentages and the hours versus attendance, and it's calculated based on these on the ADP.
Mm-hmm. Cool.
And then if you're about to show that one, yeah, let's show the charts. Thank you. So the red one, right, is prod 2. The amber is prod 1. Technically, I mean, look at the end of it was like November, December time. That gap was, I mean, we were spot on. We had a spike for prod 1. We were finishing up some projects there. The gap is null. I mean, that's ideal. We would want the prod 2 and prod 1 to be, to diminish the gap in between. And then we spiked in January, started off good, then spiked in February, right? We're at 61% for prod 2. And then we were hit in March, April time, then it picked back up. And I think right now we're maintaining this, and it's gonna come back up a little bit to the 59 or 60%, at least for this current month. So it's another view. It's the same exact data, right? Well, ours have more. We have our forecast, so we're looking forward on how do we look, for the upcoming quarter. And I think we've done it, as you see, for the entire year. And then we just plug in, William would put in the actuals, which you'll see here in the Excel file, and then we show it in this format.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so basically this graph is the same as the, this orange color is the middle color, the actuals, and that's all they're really dealing with is actuals. We're looking at our targets and our forecast.
Yeah. Okay. I know y'all showed me this before. I don't know, forgot about it.
Lucky you.
Yeah.
Hey, you signed up, man.
Gary and Mohammed, do you have any questions?
No, not exactly, Salim, but I just need to know, like, since we don't have too many projects right now, so how we can make our numbers is high. I mean, on my side, every time I try to put in some hours on training or anything. So if you see me that I'm doing something not really perfect or something that changing the numbers, please let me know.
Yeah, no, thank you, Mohammed. This is we've taken this other view of this one, and to kind of first of all bring this awareness, right, that where we stand, how are we performing, and then also we want to look at that in the Excel file that's going to show us which projects, what's driving this, and then we'll see, well, okay, as an example, if Mohammed is like last week you were, or the week before, you were up in Rio Pinto. Okay, now we look at this current week and the next 3 weeks. We'll just look, or the next 4 weeks. We'll say, all right, you're available. And then we're going to say, I'm just using that example, right? This is just this analogy. We'll look and say, Chris is tied up. We know he's on multiple projects. He's going to walk us through it on the San Francisco and others. And then where does it make sense to hand off some of these activities? So now you are supporting that as you're continuing the training. Same thing would go for Gary and William and the rest of the team. That's the idea. It's not, it's going to be, we will look at all the data as we know it and make these sound decisions, so we are supporting one another and taking this proactive approach. Okay?
Okay, pretty clear.
Okay, great. Gary, you good?
Yeah. Can you tell me one more time the difference between prod 1 and prod 2?
So the real
Sure.
difference is prod 2 includes any time that we charge to an external cost center. So anything not charged to our cost center. So prod 1 is billable jobs that are external to a customer. Prod 2 is those jobs plus any time we charge to a different cost center.
Okay, so prod 2 includes prod 1.
That's correct, yes.
And that's what I just wanted to make sure that I understood that. Okay. No, this is good to see where we are and, you know, where we need to be. So.
Yeah, exactly. Dig up those slides and then we'll add them somewhere here and share it with the team. Just another refresher. And trust me, it's it took a good bit of time, and this was it was not just S&SI. This was the overall for all billable divisions. You see safety over there and LTS teams. It was a great effort just to get a better understanding what's driving these numbers. And then you probably noticed along the way that some of these ADP code numbers changed. I think right now it's settled, maybe changed a little bit, not as much, but some of these numbers we had like, other than the TNE, TCB, TNE, different terminologies. So a lot of it used to be very generic before for sales support. Now it's by cost center. It's our obligation between William and myself to facilitate and give you those cost center numbers and ease up that for you guys as you're working on these projects. Like I said, if it's a billable project, it's much easier because usually that's generated through CPM Pro and it's in the system. It's another process, but the internal ones, we are constantly working to do that proactively. So it's always been like we go in and support and then come back and we wrestle and fight over getting these cost centers, and we go back and have to move it in the system, and then sometimes we get hit with it because there's certain grace period to do it. So you guys have nothing to do with that. We don't want you to worry about it. It's our obligation, like I said, to give you these cost centers up front, and we are much closer and in a much better shape in that regard by asking for these cost centers, getting the approvals, and facilitating that through. We realize it's not perfect, but it's much better than before. And we don't want you, if you guys, like, let's say, working on something and then you're not certain, we don't want you to come in Friday when you do the timesheet that you're not sure what number to use, and then now it's grayed out. Then we wait till Monday because there's a cutoff time. By noon, it has to be in the system. So ideally, I'd like to have it by Friday, and I know most of you guys do a pretty good job with that. But if you don't have these numbers, please bring it up earlier in the week, right? So it gives us a little bit of time to get that sorted out. And those should be the odd ones. The rest of them, we should, you should know, we should provide you this, and we should have talked about it that, hey, for this project, use this cost center, and we move on. So please keep that in mind. And then I think as we walk you through some of this stuff, it'll make more sense. And from your end, all we're asking is proactively ask if you don't have the number, and then we'll go and get it for you. Okay, William, let's use use this current week, right, for where we add, and let's use it as a good example for the team. And this is more of a discussion. The main intent is that we are aligned, and then we things are, because that's the path that we want to go forward with, and we're very flexible about it. We have the data on hand, at least most of the data, and we're trying to work accordingly.
Sure thing. So just to give you a high-level overview of how this sheet works, this top section is going to be all of our external jobs. That's going to be our prod 1 hours. So anything that has a NA number or a sales order number that's generated by CPM Pre that we're going out to a customer and doing work. Coming down here, this will be the internal projects that go to a cost center outside of hours, so NPM, sales, something like that. And then those hours is a sum of the prod 1 plus any hours here. Got some small stuff that we keep track of on the S&SI side, and then I keep track of holidays, PTOs to get our attendance time, and then we get all of our percentages on a weekly basis. And I even know how many hours we're short to hit target each week based on our forecast. So if we go to this week here, so we have 2 individuals at UPS. It's Charlie and Moses this week. And we pretty much have them there every week. Mercedes Training, these are the classes that Abdul is teaching. So we've got Abdul there, and then we move down. I mean, you can see here we had Alcon, it's completed, but it's back here in quarter 1. IAC is completed. Pretty much any job that gets approved, we get a PO for, comes into here. So if we look at this week, I think we had UPS Hibbett. This was actually forecasted. This hasn't picked up. So this will, when you start seeing differences between our forecast and our actual, here we expected Hibbett to start up at the end of July, and we're still waiting for a PO. So this is not actually going to be there. Amazon, we have Daniel and Eric working with PCA on an Amazon job. And that pretty much makes up what I'm aware of for external billable jobs this week. Anybody else working on something that I'm not aware of that's externally billable?
We have Brett Olson, William, and team. He's also supporting the Amazon, but Brett is on this rotational program, so he's not direct labor, and he's not in our cost center either. Just want to say that he's working, and supporting this project. We kind of helping out in this case, and his hours are not charged to the project, neither to goes into S&SI.
Yeah, I kind of think of Brett similar to an intern. He's here to help us out, but his hours don't help or hurt us. So I'm not keeping track of his hours because they don't show up on our utilization.
Yeah, correct. Even in ADP, he just put in the hours. I still have to approve it, but it doesn't have that granularity. It's just keeping up with the system. I think that's all we have for this on the billable. That was the question, William, right?
Yeah, on billable.
Yeah.
And I guess I could extend it to, is there anything that anybody's working on in the next, 3 to 4 weeks that they know is coming up that's an external billable job that's not on this list? I think the only one that I'm aware of that's not on this list yet is the Honda job, but I believe, talking to Chris, we're picking up those hours, Salim, is that correct?
Not we as GUS, yes, but not S&SI. It is MPM systems picking up all the costs there.
Okay.
So that would be in Prod 2. Okay. So to William's question, I believe it's the Mercedes, yeah. You want to go forward, please? Yeah, thank you. So the Mercedes training, the Amazon, the UPS, I think that's the billable ones. I cannot think of anything right now billable. So that's, and we know, yeah, there might be a need, William, for Amazon. They're talking about, it's not confirmed yet. There might be additional 4 systems or 5 systems, so probably additional 2 weeks, maybe mid to end of September. Not the week of the 6th, probably the week of the 13th. If you want to just add that in there and maybe put a note, if you don't mind. It sounded like these are coming, but we don't have a confirmation yet. So for this month, we are looking pretty good, much better for Prod 1, and also automatically for Prod 2, right? As Prod 1 increased. Then when we open up here to Prod 2, you'll see there's more activities that we're doing. So this month is probably the best, or maybe the same equivalent to what we had in February so far.
Okay, yeah, so moving on to Prod 2, actually this needs to be updated. This is going to the San Francisco office, but Nick's doing robotic stuff at San Francisco this week, which is actually already here. I think we had somebody else already going to be there. So I know Chris isn't working on Amazon or the San Francisco demo. Actually, that'd probably be my time. Probably get rid of that one. Outside of that, I mean, I don't really have anything scheduled for Prod 2 outside of Nick and the San Francisco demo for this week. Based on the conversation I had with Chris, and I believe you said not next week, but the following week, you'll be going to Houston for Honda, and I believe that was a 2-week deal, correct?
1 week in Houston, week of the 31st, and then leaving out on the 11th of September, returning the 18th for Honda. So that's a weekend.
Okay.
So Chris, you're not, are you guys going to do this trial in Houston, I'm hearing, versus San Francisco?
Yeah. It just makes more sense to go to Houston. It's our consultant for Honda is based out of there. Cam doesn't need to travel besides driving down, and Schraub's in Houston, so makes it easier. And I don't think we're going to have everything ready for San Francisco at this point yet. We're still trying to get hardware into the States.
Okay. So 1 week in Houston, then another week in where, in Ohio, right? Somewhere.
Yep.
Okay. So the weeks in between, would you be doing anything from home on that one, Chris, or would you be freed up?
Well, the week between the two is a short week. Monday being a holiday, and then Friday I'm traveling to get to Ohio.
Yeah.
So there's only a couple days there, and since I'll be working over the weekend, I'm probably not going to be doing much that week anyway.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Please plan for that. That makes sense.
Yeah, and then after Honda, then I think we're going to start jumping into the San Francisco office.
Okay. So we covered the Honda. That's the 2 weeks there. Then this on the San Francisco, what do you have, William, right now? Is that your hours, or is that yours? And
I think that was just a placeholder that we put in last time. 800 hours. Yeah, I'm not sure.
Okay.
I know I haven't been charging quite 40 hours to the job. Nick just started back on it this week. And that's kind of what I alluded to at the beginning of the meeting, where we need to get those cost centers broke down and verified so that he can charge his time this week because he was back on it.
Okay. So here's what I'm thinking, William, and we can come back to this in details, but just and full disclosure here, right, to the team. Looking at what we have right now, it seems like if you scroll down, I think we're going to have a spike for Prod 2. So we got 58, then 58, then 63. That would be in green also, right? I think this green was just more for us, what we need to borrow hours or whatever, right? Not borrow, if we need to shuffle and balance it out.
Our target bumps up to 64, so we're 0.4% away from hitting the target.
I see. So that is accurate. I see. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Speaking of Honda, the week next week, the week prior, there's a lot of prep work that we're putting together as far as the dynamic zones and writing the different API calls and whatnot with the guys in Germany. So we're trying to get all that situated so that when we get down to Houston, we can test it all out. So there's some hours next week that's going to be going towards that.
What do you estimate you'll charge to that project next week?
I don't know. Just say 20.
That'll work. This just goes towards our forecast. At the end of the month, we'll get the actual numbers in, but it just helps us know who's doing what.
Yeah, I know that, and Alexander's on the line as well. But the last few weeks, we've been dealing with this Niagara water stuff too. That has been getting some hours charged against over to NPM or FA or wherever it's going. But that's not
right
on here.
And that's where we get into these differences between our forecast and our actual, jobs that pop up like Niagara Waters that I don't hear about until after. It doesn't make sense for me to come in and update this sheet after the fact because we pull the actual data every month. So,
Yeah.
So those are the things that help us and make us look good. That pop up last minute. But yeah, it'd be too much work to go in and backfill this when, every month they pull out ADP, the actual stuff.
Yeah. Now, where's East Longmeadow for SBD? Is that on here?
It's still pending, but we do have. I think we got 2 plants. Yeah, 2 plants that we're forecasting we might get this year. Obviously, they're probably not going to be these 2 plants. Last month, the word from SBD was, it might be these. Now we know that East Longmeadow's coming up, and once we get that lined up and squared away, I'll go ahead and add it to this list.
All right. Yeah, there's also the one down there in Tennessee. Slim, I've copied you on a couple emails. It went through one of our distributors and over to Jeff Kropman's group. So we're trying to support that one too from an SBD, overall portfolio, but it didn't go in the normal routes through the Hartford people and whatnot. They just kind of got our names from them and reached out separately. Oh, excuse me. That's one of their MES sites that they're working with Rockwell on, and they want a whole grip more data than what we've been typically providing. So these are more of a deeper dive into direct connections to existing, CNC and laser cutting machines and stuff like that. And so we're trying to figure out where we're at with that. Reached out to a couple of the manufacturers to get more data. I haven't heard anything back yet. So as that one progresses, that might turn into something they want done this year.
Okay, so yeah, I saw that coming, Chris, and I got confused with that one because I think it's coming through Dennis, which control source, and then I thought that was the VW, which we already have some action going on over there, but it's for SBD through another. There's another body in between. I forgot what it is. Paula something.
Yeah, I think that was the original name of the plant before SBD bought them.
Okay. So it's one of those
it's that
acquisitions, right?
Yeah, it's the one Rockwell's doing the MES system in Tennessee. Whatever funky name that was.
The WA?
Yeah, something like that.
Okay. Do you know who's? It's interesting how this came out. It's good actually, but it came through a distributor. But are we still doing this directly through SBD, or are we going through Rockwell? Does Rockwell have anything to do with this?
No, this is going direct through SBD. Okay. I don't know if Dennis is going to want to take some credit out of this. I know Susan had talked about just floating them a finder's fee over it, but I don't know how that's all going to play out. Yeah, so Dennis and then the guy from SBD is, hold on. Why can't I find it? Justin what?
It's not just in the core team, right? Is he the control engineer with Brandon, or that's a different Justin?
Different. He's kind of like one of the guys that lives at the plants.
Okay.
He's more just responsible for that one plant. I don't. I've wrote him down. Where the heck did I write him down at?
Okay, it's fine.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Justin Ford and Rick Ross. That's who it
Okay.
is. So yeah, they're SBD guys from that plant. And then, speaking of Dennis, I know earlier in the year I talked with Hope about doing some RFID work at Volkswagen in Chattanooga, I think, and I never heard any further with that. So did that one fall off, or is that still a possibility?
I don't know. I think it fell off talking to Hope, but I'll circle back with her.
So that one was supposed to be a Christmas cut-in.
Yeah, I'll check back in with her. Yeah.
Okay. So what else is going on these days? Yeah, so Niagara Waters being one, and then that Abbott. It hasn't been much in the last few days, but a couple weeks ago, we were spending some time getting a quote put together for Abbott up there in Fairfield, California, to do automation on their profiling, their slab profiler. So don't know where that was at. Last I heard, they wanted to take it from just a pure measurement feedback to a closed loop control system that will adjust their compression rollers based off of measurements. So
Yeah.
that one kind of I don't know, got a little political, and then they wanted to add more to it, and second tri-spectrum and all this and that, and I haven't heard since then.
Yeah, it ended political also, so that's not going anywhere.
Okay.
But so with all things considered, Chris, right? That's exactly the discussion I'd like to have here. We might not have all the answers, but just speaking out loud and along with the team here. So you are pretty much occupied with Honda for
Next few weeks, yeah.
For the next few weeks, for a good 3 weeks. In parallel to that, you've been plugged into the Niagara one, and then we have this SBD activities, right? That's coming our way. It's even if it's discussions, but we also get other things with SBD. So, and then there was another one, not the Abbott. Did I miss anything? Yeah,
Oh,
go ahead, sorry.
Yeah, just the mining thing was a couple weeks ago.
No, I meant the TDC. So there's the TDC activity, which I think we just talked about it, right? That you were saying for through Dennis, right? There's the Niagara one. Those two, the Niagara one is more involved. So
that one, if we can get proof of concept approved, then that one will turn into 20 some docks per site, 4 sites by the end of the year. So probably 80 some different installations.
Okay, so what's your current engagement with that one right now? I know we pulled Alexandro. I mean, you were actually pulled in, but then now there's probably more work on your end. But Chris, before we talk about that piece, what are you? Because you've been co-leading this and had a lot of activities and driving this for the most part, and it's sitting still up in Phoenix. But while you're gone, what needs to happen, and who can step in here and take on some of these activities, and what's your thoughts? Anything we can offer here?
Well, we have a call later this afternoon to get an update as to where everything's at. But when the last time that we had any type of real life simulation or whatnot, we had our Wayne Capman's kid come down to Phoenix, and he decided to write. We asked him to write some code to interpret the data set that's coming from the sensor, and what he realized was what he had written wasn't as reliable as he's looking for real world applications. I guess it worked pretty good for his home setup, but put him outside in the direct sunlight and put a truck in front of him, it got a little crazy. He was taking some information back with him that he captured on site, and it was working towards that, rewriting the code and whatnot. And I know late last week we had a discussion, and it sounds like other people have been kind of brought in to help motivate this thing going. And I think we've got, I don't know, just a few more days, maybe a week left before Niagara is wanting to see something. So yeah, we'll find out this afternoon as to what our current status is and what else we have left to do.
Okay. Can you, just per your discussion this afternoon with the team, can you guys summarize what is needed? And if it is something we can support from S&SI, let's look internally if it makes sense and if we can help with that. But I wait till you guys hash that out, and seems like you're getting close, or whatever the end result is. That's one piece. The other one, Alex, if you guys are engaged and doing some work there, we sort of had asked, and we didn't have a chance to connect, but we need to come up with this estimate. And then let's say if you, Alex, or Tom, or anyone from your end is doing the work, we were gonna estimate that, and then those hours would be claimed under S&SI, because for you guys, you're not direct labor or billable. And we just wanna, this can be in parallel, but just wanted to share that with you guys. We do that today. If you're not aware of that, Alex, that's sometimes MPMs and you guys would be supporting and working on a customer project, but you are not direct labor, and that's not for free for the customer. So what we do, we will have someone, let's say from S&SI, or even support offline, whatever, and then we will claim these hours.
Right.
I know it's a bit fuzzy, but you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, just need to get an estimate on where, so we can add that in there and get, I guess just so that we can keep track of it all for when we go back and bill the customer and everything, correct?
Yeah. If it is something you guys are doing, let's say you or Tom personally, and that comes up to 100 hours, and that's charged to the customer, these 100 hours would go towards S&SI. In the system, it would be that way. You guys would do what you're doing, but that's the reflection of these hours.
Yep.
So,
okay.
Yeah. Okay. All right, good. You were going to say something. Please go ahead.
No, I mean, so I was able to get a hold of Daniel, and we discussed, his, I guess what he was experiencing as far as the troubles with the data coming back, and a lot of it kind of bouncing off because of the angle. We were able to, working with sales, we were able to kind of narrow down the scope to what we're going to be doing initially is just using a 45-degree angle on the MRS, which will give us that feedback. We were trying to do something closer to like 20 degrees. And after talking to Aaron Rothmeyer, he was saying that like in the field, normally it's like 25 degrees. Anything below 25 degrees, you just don't get reliable data back. So that's mainly why we were experiencing that out in the field. So at this point, it's just a finalize of a few final touches on the code, but we're hoping that now with the new angle, with the 45-degree angle, we'll have enough data coming back, and we should be able to just get this thing up and rolling pretty soon. So that was the main thing, was that we were trying to start recording data when the truck was, still far up ahead, because these trucks can be 50 feet long. But what we're doing now is we're saying, hey, look, those between 15 and 50 feet away from the wall, the truck drivers got to just make sure they don't hit any of the trucks on the side of it. They're just going to do that on their own. We're going to start advising them from 15 feet away. So I think narrowing that scope really is helping us achieve this.
Okay, and this is confirmed and acknowledged by the customer?
Yes, absolutely. So the customer is moving ahead with having the scanner be 15 feet above the truck bay and starting at 15 feet away. So we're actually we're going to get more of an angle than 45 degrees, because 45 would be 15 feet above the truck, and the truck bay is going to be a few more feet above the actual top of the truck.
Okay, nice. So if I'm envisioning this right, you want to have a stand or a bar goes in 15 feet parallel to,
No,
it's
we're
going to
gonna
be
do
above the trailer, or how, no?
We're going to do it on the wall, but it's just going to be angled out 45 degrees, so that however high it is, that's how far out we're going to be reading.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah, and that was something I think we were trying to overcomplicate it by trying to tell the driver
we do
to
a
start
pretty good
turning
job
from way far. Yeah. So I think now that we simplified it and we said, hey, look, we're only going to start, and also understanding that currently they're only getting the last 6 feet, and all we had to do was beat that 6 feet. That's where we kind of went back and said, hey, well, now we'll give you 15 feet. And then we also told sales to kind of relay to the customer that said, hey, look, with this code that we're doing in AppSpace, when we get a better scanner that is going to be able to read at 20, 25 degrees more reliably, we can just use the same code and swap out the scanners, and we'll be able to read out even farther out than 15 feet. So.
Okay. Well, it's this sounds good. I mean, this is a good position, I mean, for us here. My ask would be, Chris, I don't know if you were on the front end with the customer or this was through sales, and as you transition and get busy with the Honda and others, maybe I just want to make sure that we have someone from the team engaged on that front. And now that we're getting deeper into discussion with the customer through sales, of course, but just to make sure that we have full alignment, and especially when it gets deep into the technical end of it.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, who wants to sign up? I think a lot of information that was shared last week really helped understand what was going on, because before Thursday, it was a whole different application than what it's turning out to be. So that was a good conversation to be had, even though we probably bored a few people to death when we started getting technical. But,
yeah. Yeah, so I've been in just that one, and I had to drop out for another meeting, and then that where there was like over 20, I don't know, 20 people in there, a lot of sales team, and you guys were on, and I think you're referring that one, and then everybody was kind of, and it's good, but it's, I think it was there were too many people on the call, but and in this case, if let's say Chris, if you're occupied and you're not on these calls, Alexandro, my ask is that now you are also engaged, at least one of you guys on this call, and if it's already on the schedule, perfect. If not, please, push for that and drive that alongside with sales. So it's not like there's no reason, especially at this point, that we don't have presence directly with the customer on these calls, because we want to make sure we're aligned and the message is getting, and you're getting firsthand information alongside with sales. If it's already planned, disregard this. If not, let's make sure that's happening. If you need my help with that, I'll be more than happy to also sit on these calls. I'm not very intimate as you guys are, but I'll be more than happy to support it. But I don't want that. If that's gap existing, I want to make sure we cover that gap.
Well, we definitely have covered that gap, because the lead engineers on this project with Niagara Waters is actually partaking in our app-based training next week. So I've already engaged them on this, and then there's another project. I mean, it's super in the early infancy, so I didn't want to bring it up earlier, but it's another project that we're going to be able to bring in with a SIM 1004. So the ideal is that next week I'm going to kind of build on that relationship a bit more, and then after that we're going to go in and try to solve their this next application, and then kind of continue into this. So I'm definitely engaged with the engineers that are leading this project already.
Okay, perfect. That's great. All right, so that's good. You guys are a few steps ahead of me on that. That's awesome. Well, just keep us in the loop there, and we'll support as we can. So that should take care of Niagara. What about the SPD one, Chris?
Which one?
The this TDC. It is a TDC, right? Is it? We're starting with the TDC and maybe migrating to something else or expanding to something else. I'm talking about this MES site.
Yeah. So for the 3 machines that they're identified right off the top, it would be using a TDC to interpret some of the code that's being available, presented out to it, and being able to massage that into what they're looking for, based off of timestamps and whatnot, being able to calculate run times and whatnot. So I would imagine that those would be TDCs for a majority of that. I think looking at similar type machines, there's 20, 25, 30 of those different style machines. And, right now there could be a possibility of combining a couple machines into one TDC, but, I think until that gets proven, just having a one-to-one on this stuff for right now is where I'd be looking at going with it.
Okay.
There are a few machines that we would probably have to pick up some relays and whatnot, and some digital I/O points. But for the most part, I think we can say that between using the TDC and like a SIG 200 or something like that, we should be able to pick up most of the I/O needed from each machine.
Okay, so here's what I'm thinking, and it's also open for other ideas, but we have this application going on, or this demo that we did for VW that Abdul put together with these 3 sensors, and this is Now they came back and they wanted to integrate it into their system and what have you. This sounds close enough to that one. But I know Abdul is tied up with trainings for the most part, but he would have a week in between, so 1 week, a month or so, which covering other things. But long story short, I'm thinking it's close enough to those. So maybe between him and Daniel, I know Daniel is on the call now. Thanks, Daniel, for joining. I know you're busy with the Amazon project, but Daniel can speak all the SPD language, and we've done similar applications there, especially if we want to add a relay and whatnot. Maybe I would ask that you delegate that part to both Daniel and Abdul. Let them take that and run with it, unless it's still preliminary and you're okay handling that piece. But I would ask that you free you up a little bit of that.
Yeah, I mean, right now, like I said, I'm waiting on some feedback from the OEMs to really understand what is available, what we'd have to do. But just looking at the overall protocols and architecture, I think the TDC will solve 99% of everything that we're trying to do. We may need to add, like I said, the SIG just to pick up some additional IO points that we just physically don't have on the TDC. But nonetheless, it's within driving distance for Abdul. I think it's around the Chattanooga area, so that would be good too.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was thinking. So, and then if that turns into something, we can always pull, the rest of the team. It could be Mohammed, it could be William, but it's similar to this one, and he might have to be in VW anytime soon. So,
Yeah.
Okay, that's good. Does that cover almost the major ones for you, Chris?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it does.
Okay.
All the other stuff, like the Blue Ocean stuff, is kind of just treading water right now. We're not really getting anywhere.
Okay. All right. Very good. So we've got like 11 minutes left we switch to Daniel. How's it going, Daniel?
Hi, it's going well. Busy with the Amazon projects. Me, Eric, and Brett, and we building up and shipping out as we get new conveyors. So yeah, doing well.
Good. We figured we give you a 10 or 20-minute break of that one. Hopefully it doesn't stretch your day longer, but appreciate you hopping on. We'll do this activity with you and the rest of the team. This is recorded also, but we went through the utilization and where we at and forecasting, all that good stuff, and then we get deeper into the on a weekly basis. We're looking at this week as an example. We know the three of you guys are tied up with Aeros project, so we thank you for that. I know that's going pretty good. Any updates on the additional systems? So we put in just, and it's in question mark, that probably 2 additional weeks are needed toward the end of the month. So did you hear anything about that? Is that happening? Do you know?
Initially, it was 15 systems what was ordered, and then Amazon ordered another 4. So
Okay.
there's 19 in total. And the last, currently as it stands, with the delivery with the conveyors and the plan, the last conveyors will be shipped the 2nd of October, I think. It's just end of September. The last conveyors needs to be done.
Last 4?
I'm not exactly sure if that's only 2 or 4. It differs. The first 2 shipments we sent out was 2 every week. We sending out 3 this week, on Tuesday, 3 is going out, and the following Tuesday, 4 needs to go out. But then it goes down again to 3 and to 2, and it's not every week 3. It differs, the production schedule.
Okay. So can we potentially put 2 weeks then for us to be engaged, or is it too? When do you think this would be confirmed?
I don't. It depends on how we get the conveyors. So there might be a couple of slower days if we don't have conveyors, but otherwise we will be busy here until calendar week 39, the full time.
Okay. All right, that's fair. Sunil is driving this, right? He's still the guy from PCA that's responsible for this, correct?
Yes. Yeah,
Okay.
so Sunil is still in charge, but he's not on site here. And Nick is working for what's his name?
Brian?
No, not Brian. Can't believe I can't remember his name now. But yeah, I will get on his name now.
Casey?
But no. But Nick is here permanently, so he's running it from PCA side. He knows the schedule, and he's talking to the guys on site as we send stuff out. So
Okay. So all in all, is that going pretty good?
yes,
Yeah.
so far not too bad. We starting to get in a rhythm, and we're getting feedback from site for things that we need to change a bit. So because the first 2 systems they started installation on Monday, and it went well. So they're starting the following 2 systems. They're starting today to do, and we'll finish it over the weekend. So yeah.
Okay. All right. Perfect. So for you, Daniel, what we have initially, the plan was to be done by the September 6th, and then we factored for this activity for the East Long Meadow and I had a meeting yesterday with Thomas and pushing for for that week, the week of the 6th. So the 6th falls on a Sunday, and then be there Monday the 7th, and then throughout that week do the plan and prep for that site. Even if there would be a need for the Amazon there, we will have to we'll talk about that. But that week, if SPD comes back, the game plan is for you to go there and probably have William accompany you to support it, and we'll talk more about that detail. Right now, we're just awaiting confirmation from SBD, supposedly mid or end of next week, and to find out, about the timing. So I'm just giving you a heads up and working around your schedule towards that.
Okay. Yeah, when we know if it's confirmed, I can speak to Nick and see what the schedule looks like. I will ask him now already about how many machines is planned for that week of the 6th, and just see what's the schedule. Maybe we need to get somebody else from our team to come and assist.
Yes, yeah, that we can definitely do that too, because if we start that way on the 6th, then it's gonna occupy you for the following 1 or 2 weeks, right? To put the solutions back in, prepare for the proposal, and all of that good stuff. So
Yes.
if whichever week we start, and we're pushing for the 6th to maintain a good schedule, and that's aggressive also, because that puts us up to second week of December. It's good. I would have these conversations with Nick, prep him for that. And also, if next week we find out, then we bring somebody from the team, so we do a smooth transition while you're gone. He will be up to date and get from that point onward.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, well, we can do that. I will speak to Nick when we're done here.
Okay. Perfect. That sounds good. Anything else, Daniel, on your side?
No. We've got that conveyors for UPS.
Yeah.
Bruce was assisting because he had a contact with FMH directly, the supplier. And because I got pricing from one of the resellers, but I couldn't get hold of FMH directly to get a price. So Bruce got hold of somebody there. He eventually got a price this morning, what he sent to Eric Leash and to Charlie.
Yeah.
To from PCA to check it.
Yep.
And so the process will have to start now to open an account with FMH directly. So, and it looks like they want me to manage that section. So I will see. I will speak to Bruce again now and see if he's going to do it or if I must do it. But yeah, that's something what's really weird, that opening new vendors and new accounts. I know somebody must do it, but I mean, why must S&SI do it? Why doesn't the buyers do it? The people to purchasing, why don't they open up the account? We tell them, here's the proposal, here's the contact, open the account.
Yeah, we don't do it. That's not what we do. It's the adding a new vendor, that's the PCA do that, but
but they want. So far, every time we were talking about new vendor, and they say, "Oh, but get a W9 and fill in this form." So I must fill in a complete form. I must get a W9. I must be the middleman to the vendor the whole time. It's just, it doesn't make sense to me. Why I must be a middleman, or why? It's not just me. I mean, anybody. Why don't the purchasing from PCA, why don't they just run with it?
Okay. All right. Let me take care of that one. I seen those emails floating, and there's the ones that at least I'm copied on, and then I'll talk to PCA about it. I'll talk to Brian and whoever is leading this, and it shouldn't be that hard. And then we'll take a proactive approach to see who's already pre-approved, so we're not stuck in this loop, right? Then it's someone we can work with. Yeah.
No, the pre-approved came back. There was a couple of people, but it's more the integrators and not the suppliers. So it's the guys like Impact Automation, all of this other. So they put the markup on it and they give it to us, and we must put a markup on top of it, and it just becomes too expensive for the end customer.
Yeah.
Where if we get it directly from the manufacturer, we've got an edge to get more business like that.
Yeah. I don't know how visible it is in the system. We've talked to PCA before about adding some of those vendors that we believe that we would be working with, right? That they were not included. And then it's I know it's not clear, but to your point, we'll bounce it off early on. So in this case, you've secured the job, you have a PO on hand, and then we're like, hey, what can we do? So it's it's not fun. I mean, all the legwork is done. We have the PO. Let's run with it. And then we're faced with all these challenges. So
Yeah.
totally get it. Totally get it.
No, it's just it must be slimlined. I don't.
Yeah.
There's departments for everything, like purchasing. You are purchasing, so this is what I want. Go and buy it. If the guy's not on the books, get him on the books. But now, why must I play the middleman to get people on the books? It's like,
because
here
you
it
step
is.
up and you go get the business, and now we struggle with that's how it works. But
Yeah,
we
because I
tend
helped
to,
because I
yeah,
helped out and got the pricing and got
yeah,
we've got it.
because you're a nice guy.
Yeah, doesn't pay
This
to be
happens
nice.
when you're a nice guy. Yeah. Hey, I know we pulled you off this Amazon job. This is good. We'll take care of this. Please don't be discouraged with it. You still got the business. We'll sort that out. See what we can do. Most of us here have to step out to other meetings, and I appreciate you jumping on, Daniel.
Cool. No problem.
We'll support you with that. And for the rest of the team, thanks for joining. We appreciate your support. Have a good rest of the day and have a great weekend, everyone.
Cool. Bye-bye, everybody.
Have a
Bye-bye.
great
Bye-bye,
weekend,
everyone.
everybody.
Have a good weekend, guys.
You guys too.